Very few business processes can only handle one customer at a station at once. Even in smaller sandwich shops, a manager or other employee could step away from what they were doing and help out while the line is long. In this movie, I will show you the changes you need to make to the stations class and your code to model station capacities above 1. My sample file is chapter 0502, and you can find it in the chapter 5 folder of your exercise files collection. On the Sim Setup worksheet, you'll notice that there is an additional column for capacity, and that is the number of customers that a particular station can handle simultaneously. So we have station 1 can handle 2, station 2 only 1, and station 3 can handle 2 as well. I've also modified the C station class definition to accommodate the capacity information. To show you the changes that I've made, I'll press Alt F11, and I'm here in the C station class definition module. Just taking a look at the variables at the top, you'll see that I have station ID and the other information that I had before, but I have also added capacity and serving. Capacity indicates the total number of customers a station can handle at once, and serving indicates the number of customers that are in the station. If a station can handle 2 customers at once, but it only has 1, then capacity would be equal to 2, and serving would be equal to 1. Now let's switch over to our subroutine. So I'll click Window and Module 2, which is where my code is, and then I'm going to scroll down until I get to the places where I need to make my changes, and I have added comments to indicate where those happen. So I have Make First Change here. Currently, we're looking to see whether a station is idle or not, and in fact, we don't need to worry if a station is idle. We just need to know if it's at its capacity. So I will change this. So I have object C next station dot serving. So I'm looking at the total number of customers in the next station equals stations, then object C, so the customer dot next station, the next station the customer wants to go to, dot capacity will take care of it. So what this line of code does is it looks to see if the next station the customer wants to go to is serving its capacity. If it is, then the customer is idled. If not, then the customer will be moved along to that next station. The second change, which will happen here, accounts for a customer being moved from one station to another. So instead of the station being set to busy, that is not idle, we need to change the definition. So I'm going to backspace over everything back to the dot after stations object.c.station, and we'll change it to serving and basically increment the serving value by 1. So I will type an equal sign and I'll copy everything here because we're working with the same variable or the same property plus 1. So in other words, if the next station is not full, it still is able to serve another customer, then we move the customer there and increment the serving property by 1. We need to make similar changes in 2 other places, so I'll scroll down, and here we have Make Third Change here. At this point of the code, we are moving a customer from a station to the next station. That means that if we were only able to handle 1 at a time, the station would become idle. However, what we need to do now is to subtract 1 customer from the number that is currently being served. And that, of course, is stored in the serving property. So I will backspace over everything back to the period. So instead of saying station is idle, we'll say serving equals, and we're just going to subtract 1 because a customer has moved out. So I'll copy the name of the property, minus 1, right? Everything looks good there. And we can do the same thing at the 4th place. In this case, we are setting the last station to idle. That's what L number stations indicates. So if you have 3 stations, then the 3rd station would be set to idle with this line of code. What's happening here is that we are subtracting 1 from the serving property of the last station in the chain. So I will delete everything back to the period. So we have stations and then L number stations in parentheses, period, serving equals, it'll be this property again. So I'm copying and pasting minus 1. To recap, what we've done in this movie is change from a scenario where each station has a capacity of only one individual that can be handled by isIdle, 0 or 1, and change it so they have a capacity. When customers move in or out of stations, we increase or decrease the serving property value to note that change.